Here's Chuck Todd's interview with Lieutenant General, excuse me, Michael Flynn. He's been a Trump military advisor since, I guess, February. And in my opinion, Trump is not taking his lessons too well. He's made some recent gaffes that he really shouldn't have made if he was really informed and taken to heart the information that his military advisors are giving him. That slip up as far as the Russians being in Ukraine, that was classic. And when he got caught on that one, it really just made him look bad. But anyway, here's the interview with Lieutenant General Michael Flynn.
Trump's team has been slow to fill out the roster of advisors and surrogates that usually accompany a presidential campaign, but our next guest is a retired three-star general who's been briefing Donald Trump on foreign and national security issues since at least February. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn spent 33 years in the military, culminating with his position as director of the Defense Intelligence Agency from 2012 through 2014. His influence can be heard in some of Trump's thinking on global security and the fight against terrorism, and he was vetted to be Trump's running mate. Flynn, who just this year released The Field of Fight. It's his book on how to tackle international terrorism, and he joins me now. General Flynn, welcome to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me, Chuck. Appreciate it.
As you know, this week there have been questions raised about Donald Trump's temperament when it comes to national security issues. The Clinton campaign wants to make it a big issue. I'm going to play just a quick excerpt of a new video they have hitting him today. Take a listen.
The prime objective of the foreign policy of Putin has been to destroy NATO.
NATO is obsolete and it's extremely expensive to the United States.
This gets at this issue of Putin, Russia, and NATO.
Right.
Let me ask you unequivocally, where is he on NATO? Does he believe in it as a robust, important institution?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to state just like the current Supreme Allied Commander just recently said, what NATO needs to be done with is it needs to be modernized. The organizations, the nations that are part of NATO, they need to understand what their capabilities are, and they need to understand what their responsibilities are. And one of those responsibilities, when you become a member of NATO and you sign up for that, for the responsibilities that not only come with providing capability, but also being able to have others respond for you in time of need, is to pay your bills. And I mean, that's a big deal. So if this doesn't mean that we're not going to, support our responsibilities as America, but this means people have to realize.
He actually said he might withhold, that you have to think about those things. I mean, was that a responsible thing to say?
Yeah, I think what we have to do is we have to make sure that we understand what our responsibilities are in an alliance like NATO. And I think that, again, I'm going to go back to what I have seen our previous, particularly our military commanders, but also others that are part of this system, if you will, this alliance, that have said they understand that they need to do more.
All right, did anybody hear him answer the question, where does Donald Trump stand on his position with NATO? I didn't, so, he did a nice spin there, but he never answered the question. And Chuck asked him twice and then basically just let it go.
This issue of Russia, though, does keep coming back with Donald Trump. Mike Morrell, former acting director of the CIA, I'm guessing somebody you worked with, Putin of Russia, he called him, he said, was a career intelligence officer, is what he wrote in the New York Times Friday, trained to identify vulnerabilities in an individual and to exploit them. That is exactly what he did early in the primaries. Mr. Putin played upon Mr. Trump's vulnerabilities by complimenting him. He responded just as Mr. Putin had calculated. In the intelligence business, we would say that Mr. Putin had recruited Mr. Trump as an unwitting agent of the Russian Federation.
So is Putin treating the global Clinton initiative as a participant? I mean, what you're...
See, now he's complaining again because the Clinton Global Initiative isn't running for president of the United States and cannot take any type of action, i.e. military or otherwise, in support of the Russians. Whereas the president of the United States, if an unwitting ally, obviously can. So he's trying to mix apples with oranges here. And to be honest with you, if I got a choice between a lieutenant general in the military, which in my mind their thinking processes are pretty much a straight line versus an intelligence officer whose thinking processes are designed to go outside of the box. I'm taking the guy that's going outside of the box.
Asking is something that is a hypothetical versus what we know is going on with the Clintons and their relationships with Russia and Russian organizations. I mean, not just in Russia. So I mean, I think that's something that there has to be, you know, a give and take on this, on all of these comments and all of the things that are out in the media right now.
Okay, but why is there's a feeling of a close relationship with Putin? And let me go back to NATO. Do you believe NATO, I mean, in its current capacity,
NATO
is a check on Russia?
NATO,
it was created to be a check on the old Soviet Union.
Yeah, so
does it still need to be a check on Russia?
Yeah, the assumptions that NATO was built upon post-World War II, they need to be revisited because there is a highly complex threat environment that we are facing, and NATO needs to come to grips with the sort of the modernization, the resources, the types of capabilities that we need. And I think there's been some recent changes and some recent things that have been taken by NATO. But you know, this is really not so much about NATO, but it's about how we as Americans and how we as America decide how we are going to operate in the 21st century. We're already into the second decade, Chuck, and we are behind the power curve in so many ways.
Well,
all right, so he didn't answer the question here. The question was posed to him. NATO was formed to be a check against Russian aggression. Is that still valid today? The answer obviously is yes, but he doesn't want to say that, and I don't understand why. He could say, yes, the primary mission of NATO is to act as a check against Russian aggression, but it can also take on additional responsibilities, i.e. the war on ISIS and other various things. And again, his thinking is limited, and it doesn't seem to me like he could put his arms around things once you jump outside of the box. Just my opinion.
Let me ask you this, though. When we were talking about, he was asked about Ukraine, he was asked about Crimea, and he sort of implied that, all right, that's over and done with. The Russians can keep Crimea. It was he didn't say it directly, but he sort of implied that. Is that
be specific about how you, I think, for all the media, how they address the things that he is saying and what it is that we have to do as America.
Let me ask you this.
What it is that we're doing.
Do you believe the Russians are have illegally taken away Crimea?
I mean, if and I appreciate you highlighting my book. I take Russia on in my book, and I do believe that Russia has an anti-U.S. view of the world. You have to read Russia's national security strategy, and I'm not even sure what ours is, but I know what Russia's is, and they have a view of the United States that is not in our best interests.
Why don't these guys answer the question? The question was, do you believe that the Russians have illegally taken over Crimea? And he never answered the question. Obviously, the answer is yes. I mean, these are some easy yes and no questions. Once you say yes, then you can expound upon whatever you want. But at least answer the damn question.
Does Donald Trump understand that?
Donald Trump clearly understands that. He gets it.
Let me ask you one final thing on this issue of nuclear weapons. Does he believe that you can use nuclear weapons tactically? Because that seems to be where this idea that well, why can't you use nukes tactically? He was talking about ISIS, for instance, in one of the interviews. Right. You know, why would you take that off the table? Does he believe in a tactical use of them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's really not the issue as much as understanding all of our capabilities and understanding what it is that we bring to bear. And also this notion about being predictable or unpredictable. I mean, we have become the best enemies around the world by continuing to tell our enemies exactly what we're going to do. In your previous segment, you mentioned the red line. Why do we state any red lines? We just had the Secretary of Defense on the other day telling the world essentially which towns we were going to conduct an enveloping movement against Mosul. I mean, it's insane. We keep telling people how many troops we're going to send in, where they're going to go. I mean, we're the best enemies in the world. Our enemies love when we telegraph what we're doing.
All right, General Flynn.
All right. did he ever answer the question, does Donald Trump believe in the tactical use of nuclear weapons? And he never answered that either. So, I mean, you get all of these interviews, and it goes both ways on both sides, because when you get the Clinton supporters and you jump to the emails, they basically dance around whether she lied or not. So I guess the pox on both their houses, but it seems to me that there are a lot more questions regarding Trump than there are Clinton. Clinton, basically, it's the email deal. They love bringing up Benghazi, but that Benghazi, they finally had to put that to bed because they couldn't prove anything. And honestly, it was the DOD, I believe, that truly dropped the ball on that one. The State Department's the State Department, but as far as the military is concerned, that's the DOD. So if they were going to try to hang anybody, those are the guys that they should have tried to hang. And that's basically about it. Now, they want to go back and bring up and try to claim that Clintons were involved in, I guess, fraud or whatever. None of that stuff ever flies. And there are people that weren't even born when some of that stuff was happening, so they know that's not going to fly. But with Trump, he's bringing up all of his own downfalls himself. I mean, over the last, 12 months, 18 months, you can click off approximately 20 things that Donald Trump has done wrong to piss people off. And that does include lying about seeing things. So which person do you want? Somebody who lies about something that may or may not be factual, but you can lay your hands on? Or somebody that lies about seeing stuff that never actually even happened? To me, the person that's lying about stuff that never even happened is delusional. You want a delusional person in the White House? I don't think so.